All right. As people continue to come in, we'll let them in from the waiting room and all that kind of stuff. But good morning or good evening, wherever you might be right now. Thank you so much for joining us for the new International Graduate Student Online Information Session and Q&A. First off, a huge thanks to our partners in ISSS and our students for joining us. And you'll get to meet everybody really soon. But today you're going to learn a little bit about Penn broadly. I think it's really important to note that sometimes your programs might be different from the larger university, so how things might be structured, but it's a very broad strokes overview to Penn. And with that, welcome to Penn. We're going to be covering things like online resources, housing, transportation, shopping, finances, healthcare on campus, immigration, and more. And at the end, we're definitely going to have time for a Q&A. So if you have questions, you can either hold them to the end or you can put them through the chat. But we're not going to be answering any questions live until the end of the session. So yeah, I think with that, we can go to the next slide. And then I am Mitch Larson. I'm the Assistant Director of the Graduate Student Center here at Penn, which really is a hub for graduate and professional student life here on campus. It's a preserved space where grad and professional students can come, and if you bring your own mug, you can have coffee for free or tea. You can have study space. We have events that are both academic and intellectual, as well as with graduate life, which is the things that I plan, which is everything from like crafternoons, where we can make different things to learning about how to like use library resources, everything like that. Kind of, we program a lot of that. And I also was formerly a graduate student here at Penn. I graduated from GSE. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jackie.
Thanks so much, Mitch. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Billick. I am the Integration and Community Engagement Coordinator at ISSS. A lot of you are probably already sort of initially familiar with ISSS because it is the office through which all of the immigration, visas, paperwork, all of that administrative work for student immigration goes through the ISSS office. So it's almost assured that in some way, all of you will be in touch with the ISSS office at some point during your Penn career. But ISSS also does more than just immigration work for the international student body at Penn. In my area, in integration and community engagement, we work on a lot of programming for international students for both undergraduates and graduates. We run international student leaderships groups such as the International Student Advisory Board and the ISTAR group. Which brings together the international student leaders from several groups across campus. And we also partner with resource offices like the Graduate Student Center to come on and do these sort of webinars. And we work with other resource offices to sort of help them tailor their services specifically to international students. And we're really excited to have you all here. And I will turn it over to Niall to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Niall Miller. I'm the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator also at ISSS, and I work on many of our office's communications initiatives, newsletters, social media, those sorts of things. So yeah, we really appreciate you joining us. I know that depending on when you're watching this, it might be later on at night, but I'm glad that you could be here with us today. So I'll turn it over to my colleague, Aaron Fuccello, one of our advisors.
Thanks, Niall. Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Fuccello. I'm the Associate Director at ISSS. I deal pretty exclusively with immigration issues. So I'm here to answer your questions. I'll be hanging out in the background, answering your questions in the chat. I'll turn it over to Aishwarya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aishwarya. I'm one of the graduate students in the School of Medicine. I'm very happy to have all of you join us today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and welcome to Penn. Sorry, handing it over to Honga.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Hi, everyone. My name is Huang Ai. So I'm a rising fifth year PhD student in chemistry in the School of Art and Sciences. So this year, I serve as the Vice President of Advocacy of GAPSA. So essentially, it's the student government of that representing all the 13,000 graduate and professional students at Penn. So we not only advocate for you, but we also provide funding, individual and also group funding, and so we host a lot of events. So yeah, if you want to have any question about GapStar and how we can advocate for you, please reach out to me. But yeah, it's good to see all of you today. Thanks.
And with that, I also just wanted to, before we begin, share a few online resources. Everything that we talk about today is generally going to be linked onto these two sites or out of these two sites. So there's pre-arrival information for international students on that global.upenn.edu/ISSS/prepare page. And then we also have our welcome page for the Graduate Student Center. And that is a really great resource for new student orientation, for checklists, for setting up your different Penn accounts. If you're moving to Philadelphia, transitioning into grad school, that's a great resource just for everything around the university, and you can get to a lot of things from that page.
All right, so we're going to start with just a few items that relate to what you need to know and what you need to take care of before you actually get started at Penn. So let's go on to the US visa and immigration document processes. So many of you may have already received your student documents, and maybe you even already have a visa to come to the US, but for those who haven't, we'd like to provide a quick overview of what that process looks like from beginning to end. So the first step is that once you've been admitted to the University of Pennsylvania, which of course, if you're viewing this webinar, you already have, so congratulations. But after that's happened, your admissions office will notify ISSS and upload your information into our IPEN system. Then you will receive an automatic email, which contains a PIN number and instructions on how to apply for an I-20 if you're an F1 student, or a DS 2019 if you're a J1 student. So IPEN is the system that you'll use to apply for your I-20 or DS 2019. And later on, you'll use it to do some important things like confirming your arrival in the US, requesting certain types of work authorization, and so on. So that is an automatic email that will come to the email address that, that we have on file associated with your record. So you'll also be required to upload certain information such as financial documents and a scanned copy of your passport's ID page. Please allow at least 3 weeks for our team to process your application, since we have a very high volume of applications to process. And once your application is approved, if you applied for an I-20, your document will be delivered to you electronically. So it will be delivered to you by email, and there's no need to worry about shipping or anything like that. So once you're ready to apply for your US visa, you should contact your local US embassy or consulate for information about requesting an appointment. And just please note that ISSS is not authorized to contact your embassy or consulate on your behalf. And we also, we're not able to kind of expedite visa appointments. So please be in contact with your embassy about those issues, as well as issues such as how to request an emergency appointment if you need that as well. So if you have further questions about the new student immigration process, you can visit our website at global.upenn.edu/ISSS/new. And there will also be time to ask these types of questions during the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. And finally, if any of your questions aren't addressed during this session and you still need some help, you can contact us through our website at global.upenn.edu/ISSS, and we'll be happy to help you out. So next, importantly, setting up your Penn accounts. So many of you may already have a Penn key. The Penn key is very important. It basically gives you access to a Penn email account, as well as many essential student services, such as your course registration, the iPenn system, Penn libraries, and much, much more. So luckily, the process for incoming students is fully automated. You'll receive a Penn key setup code via email, and then you'll need to register your Penn key at upenn.edu/computing/pennkey. And if you have specific questions about Penn key access, you should contact Penn Key Support. They have their own website, or you can also contact the IT support staff of your admitting school or center at Penn. So this is very important. Next, once you've gotten your Penn Key, you can visit, excuse me. Once you've gotten your Penn Key, you can visit Campus Express at campusexpress.upenn.edu for some information about, for example, how to set up your Penn email address. And Campus Express is also great because it provides access to information about housing and mail services, dining, books and technology, transportation, and more. So make sure that you take care of this. Once you get your Penn Key setup code, make sure that you go and register your Penn Key. That's very important. And if you need help, you can reach out to Penn Key support or your school's IT support staff. And then finally, just briefly here, please note that as a student at Penn, you're required to meet certain immunization and insurance requirements. So you'll be required to submit evidence of immunization against certain diseases such as COVID-19, the flu, and others. The full list of required immunizations is available on the Student Health Service or SHS website. And you can also use the SHS website to address common frequently asked questions such as how to submit your immunizations, what to do if you need to request an exemption from an immunization, what to do if you need to get immunizations after you arrive to campus, and so on. And then finally here, Penn students are required to have adequate personal health insurance coverage. So there are a few options. You can either sign up for the Penn Student Insurance Plan, or you can demonstrate evidence of an acceptable alternate insurance plan. And for more for more information about both of these items, please visit the link that you see here at the bottom of the slide, which is shs.wellness.upenn.edu/compliance, which you'll have access to afterwards. And with specific questions, we encourage you to reach out to the SHS team.
Great. And now we're going to go over some of the financial, the need to know things to coming to Penn, the resources, all that good stuff. And one of the first things, the most important things that you should know before coming to Penn is the cost of attendance on campus. And the way that's calculated is a couple of different ways. So you have your direct costs, which are your things like your tuition and your fees. And then you also have indirect costs, and those are, anything that's related to your living expenses, whether that's your rent or, food, things like that, your books, your supplies, transportation, and then personal expenses, those things that you might want to do, the things that you might need while you're here. And it's important to consider that as part of your budget each year when you're coming to campus. And it's also really important to highlight, make sure you're checking that and for the up-to-date information that's on that link below, because each program can have a unique cost of attendance, and it can vary from year to year as well. And then so there's the tuition and billing section, which is, one of the things that's really important to know about is Penn Pay, which is the online billing and student account system. That's how you're going to get your bill at the start of each semester. And if there's ever an unpaid balance, you could accrue a monthly late fee. It's really important that you log into there and you check your bill every semester, just to make sure that everything is what it's supposed to be. If you're seeing fees or things on there that you don't recognize, it's good to be reaching out to Student Financial Services. They'll be the people who are able to help you for that. And then you also have your billing and your payment information as well, which includes things like your loan options or how you schedule a payment plan to pay for your tuition, and as well as the schedule of when payments come out. And then the next thing is, and I think I saw a question just come up in the chat about this, is local banks. So it's really important to be setting up a United States bank account as soon as you can. We have a lot of local banks around campus, some are very, very close to campus, right across the street. And some of those are Citizens Bank, PNC, Santander. Penn does have a student federal credit union as well that you can sign up for. TD Bank, Wells Fargo. Those are all options for you, and those are all relatively close by within walking distance to campus. And then as soon as you have that bank account, you want to be signing up for direct deposit. That's how you're going to get your refunds from financial aid, your loans, your overpayments. It's also how, if you have a PhD stipend and you're a PhD student, how you'll be paid, or if you work on campus, whenever you're paid, it's going to go through Workday into your direct deposit account. So that's also really important. And then working on campus. You might be able to hold a part-time job on campus. Many students can, but check with your program because some programs may not allow you to work while you're enrolled. Not all jobs though that are part of Penn are considered on campus. So it's really important that you're reaching out to ISSS and some of the people on these calls to make sure that it would count as an on-campus job and then that it will all be okay. And then the university policy is that you're able to work 20 hours a week while you're on campus. But again, that could be different depending on what your program is. Programs have their own sort of sets of rules. And you can learn more about that on our website at gsc.upenn.edu/funding. That funding page will be a good resource for that. And then next, we're going to talk about housing and transportation. So as you can see on this chart here, the majority of graduate students live off campus, 92%, but we do have a good proportion who do live on campus. And can we go to the next slide? Because when you do live on campus, you live in Sampson Place West, which is a building that's very close to the center of campus. They have full academic year leases. They also offer the ability for summer housing. There's amenities in Sampson West, such as the 24-hour security. There is a front desk. Your units are furnished. All of your utilities are included. There's an exercise room. There's a video network, coinless laundry, all of that great stuff. And you can apply for that housing now. Move-in dates and details are going to be coming from residential services later on this summer. It's also a high rise as well. So you get some really nice views, which is great. And I think it is important to note that Sampson Place is going to be closing for construction in summer 2023. But this year it's all available for graduate students if that's something that you're interested in. But for the majority of graduate students who choose to live off of campus, a great resource for you is going to be off-campus services. Many of our students on campus, they live very close, like within 1 mile distance, whether that's in Center City or in West Philadelphia or University City. But one of the things that's going to be a great opportunity for you is to use off-campus services to sort of find out the different neighborhoods and where you might want to live. And it's just a general important reminder. Don't send money via wire transfer or to unvetted agencies. When you're looking for apartments, when you're looking for places to live, make sure you're going with something that is secure and vetted, whether that's through off-campus services or from somebody who you do know. I would not rely on Reddit or Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist to find apartments or things like that. And definitely don't send money that way. And then just to talk about a little bit more about off-campus services and sort of what they offered, if you go to their website, they have an amazing online detailed housing guide where you can actually see the areas of Philadelphia. Like if you're thinking, oh, I might want to live in Center City, well, you can learn a lot more about what that looks like. You can actually see inside of the apartments or the walk-ups that you might be living in. You can learn all about the landlords. You can learn all of that kind of stuff. And that's all vetted through off-campus services. So if you're going through them, that what you're finding is secure and that it is safe as well. They also work with things such as offering temporary housing, not just like a full year commitment of leases or not just an academic year commitment of leases. So they can be flexible and sort of helping you with things like that if you just need short-term housing. And they also offer information and assistance for if there's a dispute, right? If there's an issue with your roommates, if there's an issue with the landlord on the building. They're a great resource just for learning more for your own self, but also to protect you as well. And then that link right there, the off-campus housing link, will just show you that database of apartment listings. And it also has a roommate search function as well. And then there's also Penn Transit as well. So there is an on-demand shuttle, there's bus, there's accessible transit throughout the university. All of that is free with you to a Penn card, as long as it's the Penn system, not the Philadelphia Transit, which we'll talk about in a minute. They do run 7 days a week. They do run late at night. And then there is a website here as well. And you can also see the interactive maps for not just public transit, but for if you're interested in biking around Philadelphia, or you might get a car and you want to drive, or walking around, you can see all that there as well. And then public transit through SEPTA. This is actually what's in Philadelphia, primarily the system of public transit. It stands for the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. So they have buses, they have trolleys, they have subways, trains, the whole 9 yards. There's two major subway lines in the city of Philadelphia. There's the Broad Street line, which goes up and down Broad Street. And then there's the Market Frankfurt line, which is very, very close to campus. And that's on Market Street, and it goes up and down also to Frankfurt Avenue, which is in Fishtown, which can bring you into Fishtown, which is a great area of the city with lots of restaurants, lots of bars, all that kind of stuff. Buses and trolleys also connect a lot of the city that aren't just on those sort of two tracks. And there's stops for everything right by campus. We have numerous trolley stops. Like I said, we have a couple of stops for the Market Frankfurt line right on campus. Regional rail can even take students as far as into Delaware. If you wanted to go there, or you wanted to go into some of the suburbs of Philadelphia. It's a great resource if you're trying to get around, you're trying to explore, not just on campus, but also off campus and in the city as well as Pennsylvania. And then there is a shuttle, the Lucy Loop as well, that you can use for free if you have a Penn card. And that just runs around University City in general. And so to talk a little bit about safety, we are a safe campus, but we also are in a city, so it is important to sort of be mindful of some of these things. Penn and the University City District offers walking escorts. If that was something that you ever needed, or you wanted to use, you're able to get people who will walk you from sort of door to door to where you need to go. We do have emergency lines. There's the campus phone. There's also blue boxes, which you'll see around campus as well. There are on-demand door-to-door shuttles that Penn Transit will run. I know there also is sort of a ride like on-demand ride program as well that they'll do, not just the shuttles if you need it. And you can also get text alerts from the city of Philadelphia as well as from campus that'll let you know if there's an incident, and if so, when that incident is all cleared up. You can learn a lot more about that on our website at the Safety and Conduct page.
All right, thank you so much, Mitch. I am going to go ahead then and move on to our next section, and just talking a little bit about some of the personal items that you all are going to run into and need when you get here to Penn. So we will go on to the first slide talking about phones. Obviously, as you all know, phones are a little different from country to country. So whenever you come to Philadelphia and you get to Philadelphia, these are some of the common cell phone carriers that students at Penn like to use. So there's Sprint, AT&T, Verizon. There's J1 SIMs, which is basically a SIM for if you already have an existing phone that you'd like to use, and you just kind of want to swap out the SIM card there. That website can kind of help you do that. And I would say, yeah, probably Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon. Those are all going to be services that have either brick and mortar stores that are like within walking distance, that you can be able to go and just either take your old phone in and see how they'll service it for you, get a new phone, get a number transferred. If you go to kind of any one of those retailers, they'll be able to help you out with switching your phone. And the process is kind of different from carrier to carrier, so there's not really kind of one straightforward specific process. There's all kinds of options for plans. There's prepaid plans. There are monthly plans. So there will be a lot of different options for you to choose from, and the salespeople should be able to take you through what will kind of best fit your needs. But one of the most important things that you should do is make sure that you read and understand the contract terms of any contract that you sign, because as I mentioned, there are several different ways that these phone companies cut up their billing and cut up their plans. And so you want to really make sure that whatever you are signing for is really fitting your needs and is within your budget. So that is a little bit about mobile phones. So we'll go ahead and go to just sort of shopping and getting items for your apartment. There are a lot of large department stores in Philadelphia where you can pretty much find anything you need. Walmart, IKEA, Target. There's Amazon, which is a large national delivery service that can have items delivered right to your residence. There are also in the 1920 Commons at Penn, which you will see whenever you get here, is kind of in the middle of campus. There's a set of lockers there called the Amazon at Penn Hub. What is there is that you can get smaller items delivered directly to campus to a secure locker so that they aren't sort of delivered right at your doorstep. And so if you have smaller items that you'd like to be delivered and you're not going to be home, it's great to send them to one of those lockers for safekeeping, and then people won't. Unfortunately, I will say that if you get deliveries at home in Philadelphia, sometimes your boxes can go missing. There are a lot of people, there's petty theft sometimes. So it's just recommended that when you can send to a secure area like Amazon at Penn Hub, it's definitely recommended. You can also, so besides Walmart, IKEA, and Target, those are kind of the big three for people getting home goods, and they are easily accessible via transportation, as Mitch just mentioned earlier with SEPTA, also easy to get to via Uber or taxi. And also, if you reach out to if when you're purchasing items at these different stores, they also do themselves offer delivery services a lot of the time. And specifically, IKEA will provide a service where it costs a little extra, but they'll come and actually set up your furniture and build it for you. So all levels of ability can be catered for depending on what you need. All right, let's go to the next slide. Shopping for clothes. All right, Mitch must have known that this is one of my favorite topics. So Philadelphia has really hot, humid summers, cold winters, and I say that generally, but also I will say in the last probably 5 to 10 years, it's been very unpredictable. We've had 60-degree days in February. We've had 30-degree days in May. It's very unpredictable. But generally, you will get both of those extremes with sort of the hot and the cold. So it's going to be really important to really pack and either bring enough clothing, or whenever you get here, think about what you might need to buy to keep yourself warm and keep yourself cool in Philly. Layers are always recommended, but you may have to invest in some larger new pieces, such as a heavy winter coat and things like that. And some of the things we recommend for shopping is there's an entire district downtown called the Fashion District, which was formerly known as the Gallery, but now I think they're trying to make it a little fancier. But there are a lot of very large retailers, discount stores, a lot of the sort of national United States national fashion chains in that area to shop from. As you'll see here, H&M, Uniqlo, a lot of international brands that you'll be familiar with. Also, there are so many secondhand, vintage, and used clothing stores. Myself, one of my hobbies is vintage and secondhand clothing. I buy almost everything secondhand, so I definitely recommend it for financial and sustainability reasons. And there are tons and tons of these stores all over Philadelphia. Some of those listed here are Second Mile, there's Goodwill, there's Buffalo Exchange. There's also, like I said, many vintage stores. There's Circle Thrift, Retrospect Vintage, and thinking back to home goods as well, there are also several sort of vintage home goods stores in the area that also sell like vintage furniture. They sell vintage sort of like art and books and different things that you might want to decorate. And it's a really great way to actually get out and check out the culture of Philadelphia because, you know, these are stores people are donating from sort of all over the city. They're in all parts of the city. So it's a nice way to sort of just explore kind of the local scene. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Oh, great. Very important information here. Driver's license and state ID. So there will be times that you will be asked to show ID to prove your age. A lot of these different circumstances, of course, are you'll be probably most familiar with going to bars and restaurants for alcohol purchases, you know, other sort of age-restricted purchases, you know, entry to concerts, all kinds of things that you might need just a state photo ID or license to prove your identity. So in order to do that, most students, once they get here, they end up applying for and using either a Pennsylvania driver's license if they are drivers or a Pennsylvania state ID. I'm not a driver, so I have a Pennsylvania state ID. But if you are somebody who wants to, you know, who wants to make sure that they have the ability to drive when they're here, it's recommended that when you go through the process, you try to get a driver's license. It's way more convenient and safer than carrying around your passport, because if you lose your state ID, that is only like a $25 or $30 charge to replace it, and they replace it within 10 days. If you lose your passport, it is much more complicated than that, of course. So we definitely recommend that once you get here, you make it a priority to get one of these forms of ID. Typically, you'll have to wait at least 10 days after checking in with ISSS to apply for this, and that's just kind of to make sure that you kind of know the different steps and know what to do. Part of this application requires a social security number, but you can also obtain a letter of ineligibility from the Social Security Administration. And what that's basically going to say is that you are a local resident as a Penn student, but you are not a U.S. national, but you will still be eligible for a state ID because you are a local resident. Some international students may already have Social Security numbers if they have already been here and have been working, perhaps. So there's a possibility that you can use that. But most students, if they're going to be coming to Penn for the first time, they won't have that. So you will need to go to the Social Security Administration to obtain that in order to apply for your state ID. And of course, if you have any questions about this process, please reach out to ISSS. We know that especially working with United States government offices can be very complicated, especially Social Security. So we are here for you if you have any questions. Anything like that, please do reach out. And I think we'll take it back to Mitch now for new student orientation.
Yay. In addition to working on graduate life programs for the Graduate Student Center, I also work on new student orientation. So this is my time. I am thriving. I love it. So there's a couple of different things to know about new student orientation. So the first thing is that schools and programs can oftentimes have their own orientations. Those are generally speaking required. Dates and times are going to vary. You should receive information about that from your program, but if not, definitely reach out to your program coordinator or some of the administrators to find out. But I think it's an important distinction to make that the school, generally speaking, the larger school might have one, but your individual program might have something separate at alternate times and things like that. And then there's the university-wide, the new graduate and professional student orientation. And this is sort of meant to supplement what you're getting from those school or program. They're optional, but I would really highly encourage them. They're a great way to meet people. They're a great way to meet friends, not just in your program, but across the university. And they're activities that last really throughout the summer and early fall. And then there's also the international student orientation as well. That's going to have your required onboarding steps. They'll be optional, but those activities are going to begin in late August. Yeah. And you can find all those activities on our welcome page as well, which is at the bottom. And then just some of the upcoming events that we have that we're really excited about. We're going to be kicking off our Culture Chat series on July 6th. This is going to be coming back in person for the first time in a couple of years. This is just sort of for international students who are interested in learning more about cultural practices in the United States. They generally take place over lunch. We're going to have some pizza, which will be great. And have some really good conversations and talk about this. And some of the topics that we're going to be having are making friends and forming relationships, small talk and effective communication. And then we're going to wrap up with a Penn and a Philadelphia tradition one. That'll be a lot of fun. So definitely stay tuned for that. We'll be posting some stuff on our social media about that for registration soon. But those will be starting on July 6th. We also offer campus tours. They kick off next week. So if you're coming to campus and you just kind of want somebody to show you around and learn more about campus resources, as well as see the different buildings on campus, those are a great opportunity. There's the President and Provost Welcome Reception and Resource Fair, there's some pictures of it actually right on the right-hand side right now. Generally speaking, the president or the provost will come and you can learn more about on-campus resources. It's another great way to meet new people. And then we're bringing back our fourth Fridays at 5 this year as well. And that's the first one's going to be on August 26th, which is every fourth Friday of the month. We basically have one giant happy hour. It's a great opportunity to come together and have a good time. And I'm excited for it to be Philadelphia themed. And you can learn more about those and find registration pages, all of that on our events page of our website. And I will actually turn it over to Jackie or Niall to talk a little about Forerunner and your world with Penn.
Great. Thank you so much, Mitch. Yeah, so very excited. So we right now are working next week. We will be leaving Philadelphia and departing for Delhi, India, and Dubai in the United Arab Emirates for the Forerunner program. A little bit about the Forerunner program. It started in 2015, and each year saw ISSS and Penn partners traveling to specific regions across the world to welcome those new students from those regions. Typically, regions that we travel to tend to be India, China. This year, as I mentioned, we are going to the United Arab Emirates in in Dubai. And we also will hold a virtual version of Forerunner for all incoming new international students, not just the ones in those regions. And what Forerunner is it's a pre-orientation program that goes really into depth on a lot of topics that we talked about today, gives you a chance to really interact one-on-one with Penn administrators in the student health area, in finance, in student life. You get a real sort of one-on-one look at kind of what's going on, and you get a real good opportunity to ask more in-depth questions. We have current students there as well who are also sort of giving their own advice and giving their own perspective. And it's just a really great program. So if any of you happen to be in Delhi or in Dubai on June 25th and July 2nd, please send us an email if you don't know how to sign up for Forerunner. We'd love to see you. You don't have to be from those regions in order to attend. So if you just happen to be in the area, we'd love to see you. Otherwise, you will receive more information about virtual Forerunner probably in the next couple weeks here. And then again, that will be open to everybody across the world to join all new international Penn students. And in conjunction with that, we also welcome you to join our online platform for international students called Your World at Penn. This platform is a social network that is completely exclusive to Penn international students. It's really focused on incoming international students. We have a group called the GPS Navigators who are sort of our ambassadors for that platform, who are there to answer all of your questions. They are there to generate content and give you information to welcome you and help ease your transition to Penn. So if you see the link there, you can go ahead and connect with us via Your World at Penn. You do have to have a Penn key in order to join. So all of you who have your Penn keys already, please come on over. If you don't quite yet, just feel free once you get that to come over and join, and you'll get to see kind of what it's all about. All right. And then I think we're taking it back. Oh yeah, so this is just our contact info for ISSS. Again, please reach out to us anytime. ISSS did just move offices, but of course you will know where we are once you come to campus. But our contact information is there. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to with questions about anything that we discussed today or anything else that might come up in your travels.
And then similarly, the Graduate Student Center's information is there as well. We are last year, for part of the year, we were in a temporary space, but we're now back as of last semester into the full-time Graduate Student Center, which is in the middle of Locust Walk at 3615 Locust. Again, the new student resources page on there is a great place. Our phone number is there for you if you need it, as well as our email. Feel free to reach out with any questions.